What's going on, everyone? I want to go ahead and talk about the Leica Q3 43 here in the fall or winter of 2024. This camera is my everyday carry, and different people may use it different ways. And if you're kind of trying to decide whether this camera will work for you, whether this would be a good everyday camera to have, or a camera in addition to your primary photography gear, or as maybe just the one camera that's just gonna be with you all the time, and you're just gonna be taking pictures recreationally and for fun and for yourself, for travel, family, then perfect. Hopefully whatever kind of input I can provide over here will be helpful to that, to your buying decision, or helping to decide what direction you want to go. Give you some background. I am primarily a commercial and portrait photographer based in California. I have, right now I currently shoot with Canon. I've shot with Sony before, Sony full frame cameras. Right now I have the R5 Mark II, and I also shoot, I've had a Leica Q2, I have a Leica M11, I have a Leica SL3, which I may be trading in, to be honest with you, and this may have some part of that. And I just wanted to go on and let you guys know how I'm using this camera, and the pros and cons that I've experienced in the months that I've had this camera, and also with the background of previously shooting with the Q2, with the 28mm Q2 and Q3, and also having an M11. Okay. So first up, I'll go ahead and discuss if, from an M user, if you have a Leica M camera, from a rangefinder camera, why do I choose to use this as my everyday camera when I can have an M body and possibly one or two other lenses, so that I'm prepared for any situation or anything that the day may bring me? The reason why, and I think a large part of this, is I do still have small kids, okay, and I am married. So this camera right here, even though as much as I love the Q2, this 43mm lens on the Q3, it even fits me better. And so I've been a couple months in already, and I love it. I barely crop as much as I have in the past, and you can crop on this, you can crop in on this camera. But I felt like I definitely did that a lot more in the 28. And on top of that, even though the distortion was pretty minimal at 28, it's a different look. And taking portraits or pictures of my family or my kids with this camera, with this lens, it's a lot more flattering. Now you can say, okay, well, with an M body, if I bring that along, I can bring the appropriate lens, and you can. In my situation, in my experience, and again, I have an M camera, and I tried to have that as my everyday camera because I just loved having that camera with me. At this stage, at this season of my life right now, having young kids, having a wife, usually being out with one of them or all of them, there's pictures I want of them. And when I'm taking pictures of them, manual focus, autofocus doesn't really matter too much. The autofocus does help with the little ones, especially I got a toddler, so to go ahead and keep up with her, the autofocus does help. Now, yeah, it's nothing like Sony or Canon level, but it helps. The one thing where it kind of struggles is if the kids are running towards you or away from you, and that kind of tracking just isn't quite there. Hopefully with updates, maybe it will get better, but it's just not quite there. Again, I'm able to get the shot most of the time, 9 times out of 10, okay, when I'm out, when I have the Q3. Again, shots I probably wouldn't have even been able to do and much better getting with the M. And that leads me to this point. If I do want to go manual focus on this camera, I can. And it's a great manual shooting experience. Is it totally analog like the M's? No, but it feels amazing. They did a good job, and this is still the case on the Q2, on all the other Qs. It's the same. It was the same lens. So, and I'm really happy that on the 43, it feels the same as the 28 millimeter lens. Super smooth. The manual feel makes you think that this is an actual analog. They do a really good job. Is it exactly the same? No, but I love the feel of this lens over some of the lesser that are still very expensive, some of the lesser M lenses, like the Summicron lenses or the Summarits. This lens just feels great. And the manual shooting experience with this, at least the feel from using the manual focus ring, is comparable, and with some lenses that I've used, whether it be Voigtlander or even Leica's, better. I mean, it just feels great, and it's really easy to use this and shoot manual focus. Now, because you do have the ability to crop with this, and it does bring up the frame lines, when you crop, it doesn't automatically zoom in. So you're still seeing the original image of whatever the 43 millimeter perspective is. And then you see the grid lines, kind of like the M. The difference on this is if I go into manual mode, it goes ahead and punches in and zooms in because I have an EVF here. Having that makes this camera, just another example of why it makes this a good everyday camera, everyday carry for me, is because I can still have this camera. I can shoot however way I want. I can still get that manual shooting experience. And at the same time, if I need the autofocus on a pinch, I can just go ahead and shift right in there and I can get it. I can also take video, which is another point. And again, this is only for short clips, but the video on this and the stabilization, the video quality is amazing. Okay, so for short little clips, catching short little moments, you know, my kids doing something cute or funny, maybe just capturing the sound of the beach and where I'm at, and the sound of the seagulls or the birds, and the ringing of the bells by the docks. Those kind of things. It's nice. It's nice to have. It's better than not having it, right? So again, that's another added bonus. The flip screen is another added bonus on this. Again, I think this flip screen, at least the way I shoot, is even more important on the 28, because when I'm shooting wide, like 28, I like to kind of shoot low and get a nice perspective. And you can also shoot high from this, and it folds down. So it just gives you that much more flexibility to go ahead and get the shot in comfort without getting too crazy. Also, when I've been out and about, and the one thing I learned kind of the hard way by having an M camera is if you are out with people, friends, family, and you do want to be in the shot from time to time, you can't just hand your M camera to anyone and have them take a picture of you. You're gonna have to give them, and I've tried it actually, and someone assured me, oh, I know how to shoot manual. It didn't come out well. You have to hand them your phone. And it kind of depletes the point of bringing a camera. You can get great pictures of everyone else, but you're never really getting pictures of yourself. Now, this camera, I don't know why, maybe just what it is. I think because my personal opinion is that the focal length, the 43 millimeter perspective, is just easier for people to kind of zone in and frame the picture. Every time I've handed it off to my father, to other people that aren't even photographers, my mother-in-law, they have gotten the shot and it's been in focus, perfect, minimal cropping needed, but no problems. It got the shot. And I make sure to go ahead and hand off the camera, make sure I have the settings in manual or touch whatever I need to do on exposure for them, or the metering mode, and they got it good. So that's also another reason why, if I'm gonna carry one camera and I'm gonna have one camera with me at all times, and I'm not by myself, like this is not like a dedicated photography day or a photo walk that I'm going on by myself, I'm going to bring this camera. You know, so, and now that they've kind of changed the lens on the Q3 to this 43 apo, and I've been falling in love with the quality and the way the images and your subject pops in using the apo lenses with the SL. I see the difference and I appreciate it more, and you're getting that right here in such a compact form factor. So for me, again, may not be for me. This is why I will reach for this every time. You know, when I got the M11, full confession, to help fund the purchase, I traded in my Q2. I had a Q2 reporter, and I traded that in because I was just so in love with the whole Leica ecosystem. I just wanted to be all in, and I'm like, hey, why don't I just spend this money, get an M body, and then I can have all kinds of lenses. And these are the things, and this is why I'm kind of sharing this video. These are the things when, I don't know, maybe I didn't think things through enough. Maybe I'm sure most of you will think things through fully and completely, more so than I did. But I also just didn't quite think about those situations. Namely, I didn't think about the fact that I would want to be in those images. And how easy it is to hand this camera off to someone and they can take a picture, whether you're traveling or with other people. That's not an option when you have an M camera. And so that's why the M has pretty much been a camera that I am using for myself. And I'm using it when I'm going out and either I'm working on my projects, I'm having it as an additional camera to a portrait session, or you know, I have it in addition to this if I'm traveling. Okay, so but the few instances that I have been traveling, I'm just carrying this because I know it's going to be more rugged. It's going to be more weather resistant. So regardless of how things shape up weather-wise, this is going to probably hold up a little bit better. I don't have to be as careful with it as I do the M. So those are my thoughts. Trying to keep this quick and short and simple. So hopefully this helps. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I missed. Why this kind of in practical usage is the better kind of everyday carry for me over an M or over your traditional full frame camera. But yeah, I think that's it. I mean, if you're looking at this camera, then of course another thing which I actually need to do a better job of using more is the macro capabilities. It's not a true macro, but you do have some super close focusing abilities by putting this thing in manual mode. I mean in macro mode. Again, another added benefit. Yeah, forget about the fact that the obvious thing is the small form factor on here. You can charge it via USB-C. So yeah, that's my take. So hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully it kind of makes you think about how you're going to be using the camera and whether this is going to be a good everyday carry camera for you, or if it's not, you know. The reason why I figured to do this video is because a couple of photographers that I was excited to kind of click on a video of theirs. I love their photography. I love watching their videos. Always very informative. And for the most part, we see eye to eye on a lot of things. We shoot kind of similar things. And I was really excited, looking forward to them liking this camera or the Q3 or one of the Q3 variants. And they just didn't, you know. So it just goes to show you, we're all different. We all like different cameras. Different cameras speak to us. You know, to me, the biggest regret I ever had is when I sold that Q2, the 28, the reporter, to get my M11. As much as I love the M11, I regretted that Q2. And the minute the Q3 came on, I put my name on the list and I got it. And it's Q3 43 because I shot with the the 28 millimeter before. I knew what I see the images. I know what I'm doing. I'm seeing in Lightroom that I'm cropping in usually to a 35 or 50 perspective. And on this thing, I'm just getting more megapixels and I'm getting more of that 60 megapixel sensor than I was on the 28. The only downside is, you know, the 1.7 versus the 2.0, which, to be honest with you, to this point, I haven't noticed any real, that hasn't been a big negative to me, especially the way these things have very little noise in the high ISOs. So, all right, no more rambling. That's it. If you got any questions, feel free to drop a comment. Hopefully this was helpful. All right, bye.